Bienvenidos to NALI, everyone, and welcome. We're so excited to welcome you to the National Association of Latino Healthcare Executives. I'm Lori Thibodeau. I am a proud national board member, and it is my distinct honor to welcome you to tonight's special event, Global Impact in Healthcare, a special conversation with Dr. Jerry Flores, CNO of Christus Health, as we celebrate the culmination of Hispanic Heritage Month. This month is a powerful reminder of the strength, resilience, and brilliance of the Latina community, not just in healthcare, but in every field across the globe. It's a time to honor our heritage and the many Latino leaders who have blazed trails before us, while also looking ahead to the legacy we are creating for future generations. If you're new to NALI, let me tell you what makes this organization so special. For over 18 years, NALI has been force for change, tireless advocating for diversity, equity, and inclusion in healthcare. Our mission is bold and clear: to ensure that Latino, Latina, and diverse voices are not just present, but heard and empowered to lead, innovate, and transform healthcare for all. With 20 plus chapters across the US, we are a united community of students, healthcare, early careerists, executives, physicians, nurses, and many other professionals. Together, we are driving leadership, building careers, and advancing health equity. NALI is more than a professional network. We are a familia, bounded by a shared vision of creating a more inclusive and just healthcare system. At the core of NALI is our mission: promoting health equity for Latino communities by amplifying Latino leadership and advocating for inclusive healthcare policies. Our vision is ambitious: to transform the Latina experience and multicultural healthcare leadership, ensuring that every voice is represented, respected, and valued. Our dedication to diversity is unwavering as we continue to uplift individuals from all walks of life. Our work is driven by the 5 strategic pillars: capacity building, growth and sustainability, engagement and strategic alliances, advocacy and policy, and mission and culture. These pillars anchor everything we do as we create meaningful and lasting change in healthcare. As we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, Let us remember that we stand on the shoulders of giants. The future is in our hands, and it is up to each of us to continue pushing the boundaries of what's possible in healthcare. Thank you for being here tonight. I am now thrilled to hand it over to my wonderful colleague, Dave Ortiz, who will guide us through the insightful conversation. Welcome to Nali, and enjoy the enriched discussion ahead. I I apologize one brief moment. We're having a little volume technical difficulty.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much, Laurie, for that. Great, kind words. And it was just a fantastic introduction. And I couldn't have asked for you to do it better for us. So thank you very much. Apologize for that. I was muted. And it's something that Laurie warned me about maybe a dozen times. But nonetheless, welcome to the episode 2 of La Rama. It's an interview series where I get to sit down with accomplished Latino healthcare professionals to explore their journeys, their challenges, and their triumphs. The intent of La Rama is to guide aspiring Latino healthcare professionals. Branching out like branches extend from a tree, La Rama aims to extend knowledge, inspiration, and mentorship to early career Latino healthcare leaders and those who are just about to break out into a new role. Rooted in heritage, the series celebrates cultural heritage participants, try to share how their backgrounds, traditions, and family values have influenced their paths. We try to embrace their roots. Aspiring leaders can find strength and resilience to overcome those obstacles that they've overcome, our interviewees have overcome. Mentorship and growth. The Rama provides a platform for seasoned leaders to mentor and guide us in this 45 minutes that we spend together and guide the next generation through their experiences. Aspiring professionals learn from the wisdom and insights shared by successful Latino healthcare executives for one common purpose: to elevate. Community and inclusivity is just another element that we hope that we can tap on in this interview process. Just as a healthy tree supports a thriving ecosystem, La Rama fosters a sense of community. Like leaves on a branch, each interviewee brings their own unique story. Authenticity is often celebrated and identified right out the gate. I have the pleasure of introducing our next interviewer or interviewee, Dr. Gerardo Jerry Flores. He's currently of Irving, Texas. He began his nursing career over 30 years ago. Jerry, as he is known by his friends and family, is committed to lifelong learning. He began his career as a nurse assistant, then certified surgical tech. Soon after that, Dr. Flores went to obtain his associate's, then bachelor's, then master's, and then doctor's degree in nursing administration. Most recently, Dr. Flores completed the curriculum and became a Coach U graduate. Jerry is a senior vice president and system chief nursing executive for Christus Health System. A quote from Dr. Flores that he shared with us earlier: in our lifetime, every human being undergoes a process of socialization. It develops into personal identity, and as a healthcare executive and coach, he has described how professional socialization influences professional identity, conduct, and behaviors of doctors and nurses. As a leader, understanding professional socialization is important to supporting those we serve in achieving their personal professional goals. Well said. Dr. Flores, Jerry, if I can call you that. How are you?
Please. Dave, buenas noches. How are you all doing? Thank you so much. This is truly a privilege and an honor. Me da mucho orgullo estar con ustedes esta noche.
El placer es nosotros. And I can't thank you enough. Just a little bit of story, background, how I got an opportunity to meet you. It was through Lori, who was just telling us, it was almost like a traffic controller and an air traffic controller trying to get two airplanes to come near each other, right? And she wanted to coordinate. We kept missing each other, but finally we were able to meet. And I got to be honest with you, the moment we started speaking, it almost felt like just familiar, right? Like an old friend greeting another. So I really
Indeed.
appreciate that.
Indeed, a deep connection, obviously, and a sense of belonging for me to have met Lori and yourself, and eager to have a conversation. And hopefully, um, uh, we can all learn from each other and with each other for the betterment and enrichment of all of us as we come together as familia, as Lori so well stated, and continue to support each other as we are all growing through our journey in healthcare and in whatever it is the participants choose to focus on. So thank you so much for the warm introduction and for having me here. It is my pleasure.
Thank you so much. As one of my friends would say, pues vamos a entrar.
Vamos adelante, ¿verdad?
Yes. So one of my first questions for you is what inspired you to pursue a career in healthcare?
You know, Dave, it started when I was 18 years old, actually. And for those of you doing the math, you'll figure it out. It's been a while. But actually, for me, I was working in the restaurant industry, a long story as short as I can. I ended up in the emergency department because I had inadvertently cut my hand as I was trying to open a can of jalapenos, right? Because we can't eat without our chile. And so I was opening a can of jalapenos, and I inadvertently slashed my hand and ended up in the emergency room. I was obviously put in a room where they were going to suture me, and that room happened to be next to the resuscitation room. And as I sat there waiting to be sutured, a person was brought in resuscitation, full resuscitation. And as I watched the amazing work that was being performed right before my eyes, I couldn't help but think of anything else I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And so interestingly, I walked out of that hospital as a restaurant manager and declared myself a nurse and began my journey. And as you all see, I went into hospital work as a nurse assistant and committed myself to a lifetime learning, and continue to feel very, very committed to learning every single day. It's been a wonderful journey, and that's what inspired me to healthcare. And I've never looked back, and I've never regretted it.
Amen. Yeah, I love your current role is fascinating. And when you think of the definition, system-wide CNO, you don't fully understand until you explain it, because it really kind of expands my thought process in terms of what is capable. I didn't even realize that, your network expanded so far. So could you explain a little bit about that?
Sure. I am blessed and honored to serve as a chief nurse for Christus Health, an international healthcare system with ministries in Chile, Colombia, Mexico, and the US. And so this opportunity, touches many, many lives, over 7 million lives touched this year, individual lives, individual contact. Our goal continues to increase to touch as many lives as possible. And so while it is somewhat an incredible honor to serve as the chief nurse for the system, the most important thing that we do is touch those lives in a very positive, very meaningful way, and sometimes at the most vulnerable states of their lives. And so truly honor that privilege and that opportunity in every single one of our ministries. And for me, I am obviously delighted to be able to engage and communicate with our Latino leaders and associates in our native tongue, which I absolutely love to be able to share that opportunity and that journey with them. So yes, it is an incredible ministry. It's an incredible system that gives us that opportunity.
That's awesome. I think that from the system, it's almost, almost global. Like you touch so many people all throughout, the West Coast, the, Texas, and then further down into Latin America. Are there differences there, or from a leadership quality standpoint, do you believe that what are the essentials for your success in that kind of healthcare industry?
Dave, I think that one of the things I reflect on and was mentioned in the opening is authenticity. I think it is so important for us to remain authentic, number one, to ourselves and to the people that we serve. It is important that as we grow into our roles, we always ask ourselves, who are we serving? Because that reminds us to be centered around the patients that we are serving. And the other thing I ask our leaders to contemplate, because I believe very strongly that what we do is very personal, and it can many times be very passionate and very emotional. But it is important that we also focus on not being right, but doing the right thing. And that transcends borders, it transcends countries, it transcends cultures when we're focused absolutely on doing the right thing for the people that we serve. And so, regardless of where we're having these conversations and how we're going about interacting with our associates, those are for me important key points that are valuable to every single one of our ministries and every single one of our associates. It is, I think, also important to recognize that as we see more and more generations in our workforce today, that it is important that we recognize that one thing that doesn't change is the desire that brings people to healthcare. And that is a desire to make a difference in people's lives. And so I've been honored and privileged to work with so many different generations, but I'm always impressed with the one thing that keeps us all connected and belonging is that desire to care for others.
Yeah. I just pulled up this data. I was just looking at it. Somebody was talking about diversity. We were talking about leadership, and they were sharing, how the Latino community is just growing in strength in the middle class level, increasing in growing out of poverty by almost 14% to, I think it's now 20%, when it was originally 34%, I believe, in 2010. And then I looked at CEOs of Latino descent in across the country, and 6% of all C-suite leaders or CEOs were Latino, and only 1% of those were women. As a Latino leader in healthcare, like, what challenges have you faced, and how did you overcome them? It's a two-part question. And has being Latino compounded or helped you overcome those challenges?
That's a great question, interesting question. I grew up in Laredo, Texas.
Yeah.
And that is, I read recently, probably one of the least diverse communities, in that the majority of the community is Latino.
Yeah.
And so, having grown up in Laredo, Texas, I had the opportunity, however, to be part of a team that was made of Latino men and women. And then as the population began to grow, diversity began to come into our world, especially in healthcare. I was always amazed and honored to work with all the doctors, but somehow I always felt female doctors, just had that additional level of, performance and commitment. And we are a people, you mentioned the number of people that are in not only the US, but in healthcare. We are a hardworking people, and we are a people that are very committed to what we do. Y cuando ponemos nuestro corazón to do the things that we need to do, we will get it done. And we will continue to show every community how to do that. But as I moved out of Laredo and into the San Antonio region, and then traveled in several states, I began to recognize how important diversity was in the work that we were doing, and how important it was for us to lean into the opportunity. And that's one of those things, I think, Dave, that through the years I have found that um, it is equally important to have the diversity as it is for us to lean into the opportunities and lean into the space. Don't wait to be invited. You've already been invited. Step into the opportunity.
Yeah.
Step into what we've been called to do. And so I think the work, as we do it, as it evolves, and as our journey continues, we begin to realize that we are in the fabric of that diversity, and who we are as a community and as a people.
Yeah. Dr. Flores, you said something about leaning in, and I don't know who it was, and I wish I could give them credit for the quote, but someone said that their Latinidad is their superpower. And it's something that they wear on their sleeve with pride, and also understand that it is a value being added in every space that they may touch. And I thought that was an important piece.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you
And
touched
and you know, as we engage each other, and it is very important that not only our hard work and our passion and compassion for what we do, but it's also important que nos entiendan en el espacio donde estamos trabajando, that people understand us, and that we feel free and liberated to speak our language and to let our culture flow, because it's one to be celebrated. It's one to be honored. It's one to be proud of.
It's a powerful statement. You touched on diversity earlier. I was like, what steps do you feel are being taken or need to be taken to promote diversity and inclusion within your organization or just across the industry?
You know, Christus, I'm very proud to say, is one of the leading organizations when it comes to diversity. We've been recognized as one of the most diverse organizations, healthcare organizations. And I think that it continues to be demonstrated in the work that we do, not only from our leadership standpoint, but obviously in our communities. It is important for us to, and I say us, Christus, to be represented in that community, and for the facility leadership and the facility itself to be a representation of that community. This is a very intentional commitment from Christus. And I think that it is important that we mention that, because it doesn't just happen. While there is some organic movement towards diversity, equity, and inclusion, there really needs to be a very intentional focus on that, so that we not only make sure that our Latino and Latina members are included, but that the others in that community are also included. So rather than it being sort of a, yes, we do it, it is important that we recognize how we do it. You know, I'll share a quick story with you. I was in a plane ride and sitting next to a gentleman, and we started having this very conversation. And one of the things that he mentioned that was really quite eye-opening for me is that he said our organization stopped looking for their new leaders from the same universities. They began to look at other universities. So it's not just again a focus of in that community, but started looking where more diverse leaders were also graduating from the schools. So again, all of those actions are very intentional, and it has to be part of the strategy, part of the framework of the organization, which I'm very proud to say that Christus is.
That's awesome. What of your speaking about childhood and growing up in Laredo, Texas? What of your childhood upbringing can you attribute to your success in getting to the C-suite?
Wow, to be very honest with you, Dave, I don't know that I ever wrote this chapter in my life. You know what I'm saying? It sort of, evolved. I knew that I wanted to serve. I knew that I wanted to continue my journey and growing and growing in the way I was contributing. But I have to say, and I've said this to many, if you asked me, what was your 5-year, 10-year, 15-year, this wasn't a chapter in my book. It basically, for me, as I leaned into, as I said earlier, as I leaned into and stepped into those opportunities, it became who I am.
Yeah.
It became part of my socialization. And so, I've reflected on that before, and I have to say very honestly, I have even thought at times in my life, I didn't think this was possible
Hmm.
because maybe perhaps I hadn't seen somebody that looked like me o alguien que hablaba como hablaba yo.
Mhm.
Maybe it didn't sound like me, it didn't look like me, it didn't feel like me. So it was hard for me to sort of conceptualize myself in that space. Pero cuando se abrió la puerta, adelante, amigo. I took the opportunity. And so we have to be ready, and we have to be capable, and we have to be committed to ourselves and to that door that opens.
Yeah. Always looking for that opportunity and always being ready for it. I hear you.
Absolutely.
You touched on something. It seems like you walked into inspiration, right? Because you walked in to take care of something immediate, but then you walked away with just a completely new focus, new direction. It's pretty powerful.
Absolutely.
Well, what advice would you give aspiring young Latino leaders in the healthcare industry right now?
Que sí se puede.
Sí se puede.
Absolutamente sí se puede. This is
More,
possible.
more now than before, no?
¿Cómo?
More now than ever before.
Absolutely. More now than ever before. And so it is important that we have that level of confidence. It is important that we feel that it belongs to us. It is important that we prepare ourselves for these opportunities. And so it is, I think, an absolute reachable dream for us to achieve. And so now that we see more of ourselves in these roles, and we can dream bigger, and we should dream bigger,
Yeah.
and know that it is possible. It belongs to you. It belongs to us. It belongs to everyone who is committed to caring for others.
Yeah. You touched on something, and I never looked at this, and I'm interested to see the number of mid-level careerists, mid-level managers who are of Latino descent. I would love to know what that number is, and I feel like it's just like an army waiting for the doors to open in some of the C-suite opportunities, right?
Yeah.
My question.
Yeah, those are, I think, as we see our schools of nursing, schools of medicine, as we see our schools of administrative leadership, education, clearly all of those are opening up to and recognizing the value that diversity is bringing to the healthcare space.
Yeah. What would you say? It might be different than the aspiring Latino leader, but what would you say to a mid-level manager who's just aspiring and at the cusp of moving into the C-suite? What kind of advice would you give them?
For up and coming leaders, I would say, again, ask yourself at what capacity and what area you feel most fulfilled in. And I say that because for a lot of individuals who are moving through the ranks of leadership in healthcare, there's that administrative side, there is the patient care side, there's the quality side, there's so many different opportunities. And one of the things that I think has been important for me is to focus on what is it that I feel most connected to. Uh, what do I feel most accomplished with? Obviously, all levels of healthcare are interesting to me, but as a nurse, I always felt very connected to improving patient safety and patient care. And so for me, it was a natural calling to continue growing in the space of nursing leadership. And I have to say, very honestly, early on as a nurse, as a bedside OR nurse, it was hard for me to value the work of leadership, because work for me at that stage of my life was to have my hands on a patient. In leadership, the opportunity is not only to improve the life of that one patient you're touching, but to improve the life of every patient that comes through our doors. And so it is important that we value that as much as we value the opportunity to personally touch our patients. And I still get a huge high out of rounding in our hospitals and walking into a patient's room and shaking their hand and talking with them. That is one of my highest moments as I'm visiting our ministries. But I also know very clearly that the work that we do as leaders impacts every patient and every family member that walks through our doors.
Awesome. Dr. Flores, we're going to open it up now to the chat and see if anybody who is with us. Apparently, we have about 27 and counting. Let's see if anybody.
Bienvenidos a todos. Welcome.
Muchísimas gracias. Thank you for joining. Lori, what do you think? Is there anybody? Wow, I just hit the comment section and I'm blown away. There's a lot of comments here. So, wow. I'm sorry, I didn't see it until right now. So this is pretty powerful. A lot of activity, a lot of gracias, Dr. Flores. That really means a lot. Lo tomo como una motivación para seguir adelante en este camino. Your words remind me that with hard work and authenticity, sí se puede. I'm excited to continue growing and making a difference in healthcare. Wasn't a question, but definitely worth reading out loud. So thank you so much.
Gracias. Gracias, Adriana Mendoza, for the perspective on the clinician leader. Yeah. Very important.
Wow, this is pretty awesome. Any questions, chat? Feel free to jump, put them in there now so that I can ask Dr. Flores for you. This is
Thank you, Dr. Cruz, for your comments. I appreciate that. Cesar Canales, gracias.
To make a dream come true, the first requirement is a great capacity to dream. The second is persistence. Cesar Chavez, he's a poet. Okay. The intention and mission of an organization is only as good as the intention and the mission of its leaders and those who are willing to mentor and sponsor. I know that you take mentoring very seriously, and multiple times that we've been able to meet, you had an opportunity to include your mentee. What do you think, what do you think that means for him? But maybe more importantly, what does that mean for you as a mentor?
I've had the opportunity to formally mentor, and I will say informally as well, because I feel like every interaction we have with up and coming leaders, even the people we're engaging with every single day, we should always approach that as an opportunity to mentor. Because people are looking at us as senior leaders, y ya me alcanzaron los años, and it's okay, I embrace it. But they look at us for that message of inspiration, that opportunity to learn from someone who has journeyed that path. It is always an honor for me to mentor. But let me tell you something. I am the enriched one from every single one of those mentees, because to watch them lift themselves up, to watch their confidence level rise, to watch them feel more motivated to step forward is, for me, a very fulfilling outcome of the mentor-mentee relationship. For those of you who are and it's not about age, but for those of you who are in leadership positions, please know that we are being watched. You are being watched at every step of the way, because there are people that want to learn from you and I. And we should be the example. We should be the teachers. We should be the caregivers to those who are caring for others.
Mm.
And so I have felt very enriched by the experience of being a mentor. I don't know that I realized as early as I should have that I was mentoring people way before I was ever called a mentor.
Unbeknownst to you, you were impacting so many people.
Absolutely.
That's powerful. I want to call out 2 questions, and then I want to transition to the last phase of the interview, which is our rapid fire questions. So I want to make time for all of it. But Kenny Pesquera asks, "What leader inspired you to grow in your career?" That's a good question. I didn't think to ask that.
Well, there's an anesthesiologist. She has retired since Dr. Avelia Perez was a huge mentor to me. She was the smartest anesthesiologist I ever worked with. She was resilient. She was intelligent. She was very quick thinking. Critical thinking was so sharp, it was amazing. And she could read a situation 3 steps ahead of when it was going to happen. And so I was always very inspired by her. Unbeknownst to her, she was mentoring me to feel confident, because that was the other thing. She was very confident in what she did. She stepped forward in a very confident way. And so I would say that I've had many leaders who have inspired me, but without a doubt, Dr. Avelia Perez and then her husband, Dr. Sigifredo Perez, were huge mentors to me. So mi corazón a los doctores Perez, who I loved very much and love very much, and have been a great inspiration for me.
You can feel, se siente la emoción when you speak about them, and that's pretty powerful. And I think that clearly you still have a deep connection to what they did for you and the path they helped pave in front of you. So that's pretty powerful. And thank you
Absolutely.
so much for sharing that. Wow. I have one more question I'm going to look at here. Dr. Flores, what clinical leader problems keep you up at night? How can we help form part of the solution of that problem? Diana Mendoza, thank you. Good
Dianita,
question.
muchas gracias, Diana. That's an incredible question, because today we all know that we are working very diligently through the safety for all our healthcare providers. I want to say, through and after the pandemic, we saw a rise in the violence against healthcare workers and healthcare violence altogether. And so that is always something that is very concerning to me. There's a lot being done to keep our associates safe. But clearly, as I mentioned earlier, what we do is very emotional, not only for us as care providers, but for the folks who are receiving care and maybe their family members, and how they process information and how they feel about outcomes and so on and so forth. So I would say for me, the most important item or thing that keeps me up at night sometimes is the safety of our workforce, the safety of our nurses, our doctors, our providers. Obviously, the workforce itself and the challenging nature of how workforce is evolving. So although I have to tell you, there's a side of that really excites me, because we have an opportunity for a lot of innovation and a lot of critical thinking as we work through our workforce challenges. But I would say that, my main concern is always the safety of those who are caring for our patients and their loved ones, and that is one thing that keeps me up at night.
Thank you so much for that. All right, guys. I'm going to shift gears a little bit. It's 7:41, and I'm going to go into rapid fire questions. This is in my head. This is supposed to be something that goes really quickly, maybe with 1 or 2 word answers. Dr. Flores. So are you ready?
I will do my best, Dave.
Fasten your seatbelt. All right. What is one word you would use that defines you?
I am blessed.
Truly believe that one. How do you define your leadership style?
Transformational.
What is the one trait that you think is critical in a leader?
Authenticity.
That's the theme today. Which leadership book or thinker has influenced you the most?
I would say the book would be the Human Errors in Medicine. It is edited by Madeline Sue Bogner. That happens to be a book just because I'm very committed to high reliability in healthcare. And so that is a book that's longer than 1 word, but I needed to explain that one.
See, I'm going to jump in, and I want to suggest that if you haven't read it, Black Man in a White Lab Coat, we talked about this, I think, when we were connecting. And it was assigned to me, but it was a very powerful book, and it really talks about the struggles, right, that a person can go through depending on the color of the skin. And then the other one I think that I feel culturally has some connection to us is Grit by Angela Duckworth.
I'm familiar with that book. Excellent book.
Right? Tenemos una salsa en todo lo que hacemos, ¿no?
Exactamente.
What is one word people would use to define you?
I would hope blessed.
Yeah, that's good. If you had a chance to host a TED Talk, what would you talk about? This doesn't have to be a 1-word answer.
I go back to the high reliability. I think that this is an area in healthcare that although healthcare has evolved in the space of high reliability over the last 10, 15 years, I think we still have a lot of opportunity to make sure that every single one of our patients that comes for care gets exactly and only what they came for, and not, unfortunately, some of the things that can be a hospital-acquired conditions while somebody is engaging us. Obviously, human error is important to how we process all of this. But I would definitely love to continue our conversation as healthcare providers focused on high reliability and adopting the 5 principles around high reliability to improve patient outcome and reduce human error, and health preventable errors.
If Ted calls you, let me know because I want a front row ticket.
Okay.
All right. And then last word, what is the one quality that you would advise an aspiring Latino or Latina leader to cultivate?
Oh, I've mentioned authenticity because I think that just keeps things very real, but I also think integrity is very important in how we are defined, because the things that we do in healthcare will challenge a lot of the values that we have grown up with, but we should always remain committed to our integrity. And I started by saying we always want to do the right thing. And I think that's the same way of saying make sure that we stay true to who we are as an individual and as a professional, and who we are for the patient and the families we serve.
Dr. Gerardo, Jerry Flores, what a fantastic, we talked about this. We have only been in maybe 2 conversations and we couldn't stop. We didn't have enough time to continue our conversations. And it just felt like we could probably keep talking for the rest of the evening. It's been
no doubt. I feel the same way, Dave. You are very easy to talk with, and I appreciate the energy around our conversation and your commitment to just keeping it real.
Tremendo placer. Thank you so much.
Ha sido un placer para mí también.
All right, everybody. So this is the end of episode 2 of La Rama. Thank you again, Dr. Gerardo Flores. Flores. It's been such a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
El gusto es para mí. Que Diosito los bendiga a todos.
Igualmente, igualmente.
Hasta
Thank you,
luego.
everybody in the chat, and hope to speak to you soon. And if you haven't already, please consider joining an organization. The National Association of Latino Healthcare Executives believed in this idea enough to give me the platform and underwrite this and make it come to fruition. And if it wasn't for people like Lori, like Marcos Pequera, like Rolando Gomez, and so many other people, my leadership at the Tri-State chapter, if it wasn't for all of them giving me the idea or just to amplify that I can do whatever I feel is necessary and I could prove that it works and it's of value, then it would be something that they would help and they would endorse. That's the type of culture that's being cultivated here. So if you have an opportunity, I would strongly urge you to find an association. And if this one fits you, we'd love to welcome you in. So thank you in advance. Thank you to Lori for our introduction. Thank you for everyone that joined. Thank you for the panelists in the chat. Great conversations there, and hope to see you soon. Episode 3 coming next year, 2025. Thank you.
This incredible event would not have been possible without the generous support of our sponsors, and to them we extend our deepest gratitude. As we close, let's carry the spirit of Hispanic Heritage Month with us, not just today, but every day. Our heritage is our strength, our diversity is our power, and our shared commitment to inclusion is what will drive the change we seek in healthcare. Let's continue to lead with purpose, advocate with passion, and push the boundaries of what's possible. Our work at NALI is far from done. We need all of you to help us advance the mission, because true equity isn't just an aspiration, it's an ongoing action. I'd also like to remind you that we're having our NALI Summit. The dates have come out. It's going to be September 17th through the 19th in San Antonio. Stay tuned for more details. I'm letting you know it's going to be another sold out event, so you can't be late bloomers for this one. Thank you once again, and buenas noches.